We cutting these damaged trees on top of these houses.
They are sounds synonymous with life after a disaster. When you see what a tornado with 165-mile-per-hour winds did March 31st to North Little Rock, Arkansas, you realize those sounds may not go silent here anytime soon.
A friend of mine had just called me on the phone and said, hey, look, there's a tornado coming your way.
Keith Howard considers himself blessed.
And then so I ran downstairs and looked out my garage, and when I looked out there was some trees and debris hovering around in the middle of the tornado, just kind of floating. So when I saw that, I said, oh Lord. So I ran back behind my laundry room door and held the door and got down on my knees and just prayed to the Lord, and he delivered.
He told us he hasn't had electricity in almost a week. His car was totaled, but he survived.
Well, no, that was a gazebo. It's gone. If you got cans, I'll take it. Thank you so much.
Roy Henderson is a builder.
Completely, the new fence is pretty much gone.
He says his coworkers have been quick to help repair damage caused by the storm.
They came out the day after, and we cut all these trees up and got them off to where you can be visible and see the windows.
It is one story from a community where cleanup is now a job that stretches beyond property lines to each corner of town.
You got to do what you can do to help people out.
We've got FEMA here. We have CADC to help with housing here.
Debbie Ross is helping lead the effort.
I've seen everything, tears from their eyes to basically shock at some of it. You know, when people come in and they're shaking, they're so upset. It's traumatic when your whole life has just been turned upside down.
They're loaded up.
If you've driven the areas, you know, it's like bombs exploded.
The March tornado in North Little Rock, Arkansas is one of 12 deadly tornadoes the National Weather Service tracked in the first 3 months of 2023. The worst, Rolling Fork, Mississippi, which killed 13 people.
Rolling Fork was some of the worst devastation I've seen from a natural disaster, and I've been doing this for over a decade.
Scripps News meteorologist Scott Withers was on the ground for the aftermath. He spoke to people like Cheryl Andrews. She lived in the region her whole life and lost hold of her grandson's hand as the tornado bore down on her home.
Were you fearful when you felt your grandson slipping?
Yes, I was.
Were you afraid
I thought I had lost him, and I just reached over and I saw the debris and I started throwing it off of him, and my boyfriend was taking it off of his body, and I seen his head come up.
What was that like when you saw him?
It was a relief.
This tornado rolled through EF4, rolled through corner to corner, damaged every building, every house in the town, and long term. This is not something that can be fixed in the short term. These people, because it's such an isolated rural community, closest hotels are almost an hour away. Closest jobs are almost an hour away. So all of that's gone. There's no infrastructure left. So rebuilding this is going to be a long-term campaign for the city if they can rebuild it, because a lot of people, they're going to move on with their lives because they have to. They can't just sit around and wait for this to miraculously be rebuilt, because it's not going to happen fast.
For many of the people who live in the region, it's not the slow rebuild that will keep them from coming back. It's the memories of the horrifying night they spent fearing for their lives.
Friday morning to Saturday morning, your life
changed. I don't think I've slept 2 hours a night since then.
Do you keep hearing it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a sound I'll always hear. Yep.
And it just seems like every single day for the past couple of weeks, we've talked about a different community, whether it's Rolling Fork, whether it's Little Rock, Arkansas. We've seen these tornadoes. Is this out of the normal?
We're actually, yes, January was almost record number of tornadoes across the country. They've dropped down over February and March, but now they're starting to pick back up again as we're shifting from winter into spring. Keep in mind, this is climate change. This is what climate change looks like. Everyone thinks there's going to be some big ta-da with climate change. This is it. We're living it now.
Next on The Race, we'll take you to a community debating the best way to protect itself after devastating wildfires that have only become more powerful.